Hello friend, Anna Sabramowitz here, and I wanted to shoot this quick video for you before my next strategy call with my client to make sure that I don't lose this moment, because I had a really great session, two actually, this morning, and some wonderful insights came out of that, and I thought, as I'm troubleshooting with my clients, these are great lessons that I can share with everybody so you can benefit from them as well, especially when it comes to scenario planning. Now, before I get into that, if you want to work with me, go to scheduleanna.com and fill out an application. And if the stars align and everything is, working as far as if I think I can help you, then I'll reach out and we'll book strategy session together. But before we get there, one of the things that came up this morning as we were talking about, obviously, scenarios, because I love to do that, and that's the service that I offer, is basically tapping into the top talent and figuring out how are they thinking differently, what are their perspectives, so that basically what happens is any kind of information that you have that's on your intranet or in a learning management system, that information, instead of being completely reworked to be, updated and sexy, really what you're doing is you're just wrapping around context with your scenarios, which information is actually going to be useful to the people that are going to be accessing it. So why does your training exist in the first place? So this was something that the client really enjoyed hearing about, because they thought, okay, we have all these resources, and how do we make them sexier? And instead of doing that, what we can actually do is create contextual scenarios and situations where people have all these kind of aha moments where they figure out, ooh, these are my gaps. Especially they loved it in terms of leadership. These are my gaps, and these are now all the resources that I can use to help my gaps. And so it's kind of neat, because the way they want to use scenarios is to have it become a diagnostic for the type of service or training that new leader will get. So depending on the outcome of their scenario and how they feel and reflect on it after they finish, they will either be put together with a mentor, they will be suggested a specific course or a path of self-study, or what will be suggested is new leadership training that they're putting on live. So it's kind of cool. They're using the scenario as a self-diagnostic that can be done in a safe place, without any judgment. You can try all these alternative paths, see the consequences, and then, because you're being exposed to these situations that are very contextual, you can really make a decision about whether you're ready to take on a leadership position. So it's really cool. But one of the things that came up, and I, hopefully you think about the fact that scenarios can actually be very effective in augmenting what you already have. No need to start from scratch, especially because a lot of organizations already have a lot of great training. It's just making the connection between, what's happening in the real world and how this training and this repository of awesome resources can actually help you augment, your experience. So, but the other thing that kind of fell into at that point is that in some cases, the situations and the scenarios, it can actually get away from us by trying to make them a little too complicated. So one of the things we discussed is, how in the world do we create a simulation that represents all of the available options or all of the available nuances that this person in the field might be exposed to, right? And the fact that there are so many layers. And one of the things I think about is, these are the pieces that kind of get in our way, is that we try to fill all of the available gaps with a scenario. We try to make all of the potential routes and perspectives, build them into the scenario. And what it does is it becomes very complex, and it also becomes almost unmanageable for us to get all the right info from a subject matter expert. So if you keep it simple and keep it down to, let's say, a single type of decision that somebody needs to make. Like, for example, one of the things that especially new leaders have to learn to do is delegate work and help the people around them step up into areas of more responsibility and develop them as leaders as well, so that they can have a more robust team and actually be able to hand off work. So that's a single decision. So instead of going into all of the things that a leader has to do in order to be a great leader, you just focus, let's say, scenarios on that, where you have 6 or 7 or 8 situations where you simply have to manage handing off information or handing off tasks. And how do you do that effectively for somebody? How do you do that by, knowing that in the very beginning they're going to suck and they're not going to be very good at the work that you're handing off? How do you manage the process of training them and building them up to be good over time? And is there a point where you say, this person isn't a good fit, I'm going to try somebody else, and this person might be a better fit someplace else? So so you have to, so what I suggested there is not to get too complex by trying to have the scenario fill too many voids, but focus on the critical decisions and make sure you get those right. And so what happens is, instead of trying to be broad and meet too many needs all at once, you're going deep and developing with more precision. You are developing those certain characteristics that are key elements, and then you can build on that. So it's better to go deep and focus on a specific skill set and know that that's been refined and somebody really understands what are the elements of that in a leadership role, and then you can move on to something else that you deem as the next best skill to learn or to realize that you're missing. So I hope that was helpful to you, and if it was, share this video. Also, if you have any questions about the approach, or you have some dilemmas that when you're designing your own scenarios, post them in the comments, please do. And like I said, if this is something that you need help with and you want to augment your current team with a scenario expert, I am here. So go to scheduleanna.com, and there you'll be able to fill out a form to see if the vision that you have aligns with the work that I can do with your team or you. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time, friend. Bye.